So since I keep seeing white people ask stupid ass questions like, "What can I do that you can't? What can white people do that black people can't?" Exposing their lack of awareness and pattern recognition, let's break it down so they can understand clearly. So, black Americans still face systemic barriers to basic opportunities that white Americans take for granted. For example, mortgage denial rates are more than twice as high. Home ownership at 45% compared to 75% for white people. Median income at 56K versus 84K, and median wealth at 44K versus 284K. There is also educational inequalities that help fuel this gap. Now, for example, predominantly black school districts receive about $1,800 less per student every single year. While historically black colleges and universities called HBCUs are left with scraps. Compared to multi-billion dollar endowments, white universities receive funding, better facilities, scholarships, and research per the NCRC, the FT, and the Investopedia. Now I need you to listen. These inequities didn't just happen. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. They were intentionally built through over a century of racist systems and laws, like black codes, convict leasing, Jim Crow, redlining, sundown towns, COINTELPRO, leader assassinations, the proven CIA-linked crack epidemic, mass incarceration, school segregation, the destruction of over 60 plus thriving black communities, GIA bill exclusion, the FHA loan denials, the police lynchings, media demonization, and land theft from black farmers and black natives. Now, all of this combined made sure that white people could access opportunity, resources, and the benefit of the doubt. While black Americans were systemically stripped of wealth, freedom, and equal access, proving that this so-called equal opportunity was never designed for the very people it was built on. So, the comfort and wealth many white Americans enjoy today is rooted in centuries of systems. Slavery, indigenous land theft, colonial extraction, redlining, and modern labor exploitation that transferred land, money, and opportunity from black and brown communities into white hands, creating a massive generational wealth gap. These systems began in the 1600s with an economy intentionally built on unpaid African labor and the violent removal of indigenous people, then continued through Jim Crow, New Deal exclusions, housing discriminations, and mass incarceration, all designed to protect white wealth while limiting black advancements. Because schools and media sanitize this history to preserve social comfort, many white Americans remain unaware of how deeply their security comes from what was taken. And this leads to a very unrealistic expectation that black people should catch up through effort alone, accomplishing in a few decades what white America accumulated over centuries of stolen labor. Black communities will disrupt this system by building collective ownership, strengthening political education, controlling their narrative, and practicing unified economic collaborations, which rebuilds power from the ground up and challenges the structures that once extracted from them. You understand? So, white supremacy institutions spent centuries shaping education, media, and law so effectively that many of their descendants grew up only knowing the narrative that support white innocence. Because the real history of African resistance, black innovation, and systemic theft directly threatens the myth of white superiority. They also used legal paper genocide, tools such as Racial Integrity Act of 1924, the Virginia Bureau of Vital Statistics under Walter Pleicher, the one-drop rule, and the federal policies like the Dawes Act, the Indian Removal Act, and the Homestead Act to erase or reclassify indigenous and Afro-Indigenous people. So they tried to hide America's mixed and melanated populations and legally rewrite who counted as natives so whiteness could claim the land uncontested. And the comfort many white Americans enjoy today exists only because of black labor, enslaved agricultural science, and stolen metallurgical knowledge, and West African technologies and stolen artifacts. And generations of underpaid or unpaid work built the nation's economy, meaning white freedom and stability were always funded by past and present black oppression. You understand? White Americans often argue they shouldn't pay reparations because they personally didn't own slaves. But this ignores the reality that America as a whole still benefits from centuries of racial wealth theft. From slavery in 1619 through 1865 to convict leasing and Jim Crow in 1865 through 1965 to redlining and mass incarceration that still continues today. Yet, while claiming reparations are too expensive, the U.S. government spends trillions annually on things taxpayers never voted on. Billions of dollars go to Jewish people in reparations every single year almost for no reason. $877 billion on the military in 2022 alone. Billions in foreign wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Subsidies to big pharma and agribusiness. And even covert funding of cartels during operations like Iran-Contra. The truth is America has always had the resources to repair the wealth gap. Black Americans were promised 40 acres and a mule in 1865 per Special Field Order number 15 and then stripped of it almost immediately. But white people refused reparations because paying them would mean finally acknowledging and correcting the very foundation of his economic system. It's your boy. So I need white people to understand that white privilege exists even if an individual white person struggled or is struggling. White privilege does not mean every white person lives an easy life. It means their skin color is not a barrier to opportunities. Like housing, policing, schooling, or employment the way it historically has always been for black and brown people. And decades of data from sentencing reports, audit studies on job callbacks, and mortgage discrimination investigations clearly show that white individuals receive more favorable treatment even when all other factors are held constant. Many people not gonna like this, I'm not gonna lie. Many people not gonna like this, and they gonna react defensively when they hear it. Because acknowledging this means accepting that some of their success is influenced by social advantages rather than solely by personal talent. So I hear a lot of white people always say, oh, I'm not racist. I want you to know that not being racist does not mean you don't benefit from racism. A person can be kind and treat others fairly, yet still receive unearned advantages from a society that privileges whiteness. Benefit does not require intent. It only requires participating in systems that were historically built to favor one group over another. Because your morality alone doesn't separate you from racial injustice. You have to be fighting against it or you're helping it. You understand? Yeah. Go. Okay, don't forgive or don't forget, bitch, I'ma hold a grudge.